Rain poured outside the hospital window as David sat quietly, holding his daughter's hand. Life hadn't been kind to him lately. Once a proud firefighter, he'd lost everything: his job, his wife, and nearly his home, after an accident that left his daughter, Lily, unable to walk. Now he worked 2 jobs just to pay for her treatment. One morning, as he scrolled through job postings on his cracked phone, a listing caught his eye. Private driver and assistant needed for a female CEO. Immediate start. Confidential. It sounded too good to be true. Still, he applied. Within an hour, he received a call. The woman on the other end spoke with a sharp, commanding tone. "Be at 46th and Main tomorrow at 8 a.m. sharp. Don't be late." That was his first encounter. Well, her voice anyway. With Vivian Stone, the CEO of Stone Enterprises. The next morning, he stood outside the towering glass building, wearing his only clean shirt and a borrowed tie. When she finally appeared, stepping out in heels that probably cost more than his entire paycheck, David instantly understood why everyone in the city feared her. Vivian Stone wasn't just a CEO, she was power personified. Cold eyes, perfect posture, and not even a glance at the man who'd soon be driving her everywhere. "Don't talk unless I ask you to," she said, sliding into the back seat of her luxury car. "Yes, ma'am," David replied quietly. The first few weeks were rough. Vivian would scold him for being even a second late, criticize his choice of route, and never once say, "Thank you." But David wasn't easily broken. He'd seen real pain, real fear, his daughter's tears in the hospital, the smell of smoke from burning buildings. A rude boss didn't scare him. Then, one night, everything changed. It was past midnight, and a violent storm raged across the city. Vivian had insisted on visiting a construction site that her company owned. "I don't cancel meetings for weather," she'd snapped earlier that day. But now, as they drove back, the roads were slick, visibility was nearly zero, and a truck ahead lost control. David reacted instantly, swerving to avoid collision, but the car slid off the road and hit a guardrail. The airbags deployed, and for a moment, there was only silence, broken by a weak voice whispering, "Please don't hurt me. I can't walk." David turned to see Vivian frozen in shock, her face pale. She wasn't the fierce CEO now. She was trembling, terrified, and helpless. Her legs were pinned under the dashboard, and tears welled up in her eyes. Hey, it's okay," David said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to get you out." But she shook her head, gasping in pain. "I can't move my legs. I can't." David ripped off his seatbelt, climbed out, and fought through the rain to open her door. It took every ounce of his strength to free her. Then he carried her, this woman who'd treated him like he was invisible, all the way to the roadside, where they waited for help in the pouring rain. In that moment, something broke inside her, and something changed inside him. The next morning, Vivian woke in the hospital, her leg bandaged, pain coursing through her body. She looked around, and to her surprise, David was there, asleep in a chair beside her bed. He'd stayed all night. When she stirred, he woke up instantly. "How are you feeling?" he asked. She didn't answer. She just stared at him, as if trying to process why this man, this driver she'd barely acknowledged, was still here. "Why didn't you leave?" she finally asked. "Because you needed someone," he replied simply. That was the start of something neither of them expected. In the weeks that followed, Vivian's recovery was slow. For the first time in years, she couldn't work, couldn't command anyone, couldn't even walk without help. And every single day, David showed up. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. He'd bring her food, drive her to therapy, help her exercise, and even tell her stories about his daughter. Lily, The little girl who'd lost her ability to walk became Vivian's inspiration. One afternoon, when David brought Lily to visit, Vivian watched as the child smiled through her pain. "You're strong," Vivian said softly. "Stronger than most adults I know." Lily just grinned. "My daddy says we can do anything if we don't give up." Those words hit Vivian like a lightning bolt. For years, she had built her empire on power and control, but she'd forgotten the one thing that made people truly great: kindness. Weeks turned into months. Vivian slowly began to heal, not just physically, but emotionally. She started visiting Lily's hospital, donating to her treatment, and even funding programs for disabled children. One evening, after a particularly good therapy session, she told David something that left him speechless. "David, I've decided to create a foundation for kids like Lily, and I want you to help run it." He blinked, thinking he'd misheard. "Me? I'm just your driver." "Not anymore," she smiled. "You're the reason I remembered what being human means." Word spread quickly. Stone Enterprises' feared CEO had changed. Her employees noticed it too. She smiled more, listened more, and treated people with respect. The woman who once barked orders now inspired loyalty. And behind that transformation stood the single dad who had shown her what compassion looked like. Months later, Vivian fully recovered. She could walk again, though not without a slight limp. But she often joked that the limp reminded her of the day her life truly began. On the day Lily finally took her first steps with the help of braces, Vivian was there, cheering like family. Tears filled David's eyes as he watched his daughter walk across the room and hug Vivian tightly. "You helped my daddy believe again," Lily said innocently. "Thank you." Vivian smiled through her tears. "No, sweetheart. You helped me believe again." From that day, the three of them became inseparable. What started as a job turned into a bond stronger than anyone could imagine. David's life changed completely. He now worked as the operations manager of Vivian's new foundation. His income was stable, Lily's treatment was fully funded, and their lives were filled with hope again. Vivian, once known as the coldest CEO in the city, became an example of redemption and grace. Every year, she and David organized charity events to help disabled children get access to medical care. People who once feared her now admired her. But to her, the most meaningful title wasn't CEO anymore. It was Aunt Viv. That's what Lily called her. And nothing in the world made her prouder. One evening, as the three of them sat watching the sunset, Vivian turned to David and said softly, "You know, that night in the rain, I thought my life was over. But you saved more than my body. You saved my soul." He smiled, gazing at the horizon. "We all get lost sometimes. I guess we just need the right person to help us find our way back." The story of David and Vivian became more than just a tale of survival. It was proof that compassion can heal even the deepest wounds. Two broken souls had found strength in each other. And in the end, the woman who once said, "Please, don't hurt me. I can't walk," became the one who walked beside others, helping them stand tall again.